All right, so
Shout out to Liz.
shout out to Liz. Example number 1, it says a video club charges a one-time membership fee. Man, you guys don't even know. Do you guys remember like Family Video or Blockbuster? Yeah? Okay. Okay, hold on. Let's focus. So it says a video club charges a one-time membership fee. Hold on. We're doing math. I'm recording a video. Plus a rental fee for each DVD borrowed. Use the graph to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm just going to jump in here. Remember that I'll write it over here somewhere. Well, I don't have a lot of room. I didn't give myself a lot of room. So we'll write it up here. We'll say that y equals mx plus b, where b represents the y-intercept, right? That's where it crosses the y-axis. And what does m represent, you guys? Yeah, m represents the slope. So that's why they call that the slope-intercept form. Yes?
Why is n slope when slope starts with s?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that every year. So the person that invented analytic geometry, so the XY plane is actually the formal name of this XY plane is the two-dimensional Cartesian plane. And that's named after Rene Descartes, who was also a little bit of a French philosopher. So the guy that invented this, yeah. But so remember that slope is the rate of change. And the French word for change is like modifico, which is the same root for like modify. And so that's why he used M. And I don't know the history of B. Some textbooks changed it to AX plus B. But I did a little, yeah. So, but M is the most common one for slope. That's a good question. Okay. So anyways, back to this. It says we got to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So really what I need is I just need to know what the slope is, and I need to know what the y-intercept is. And it says use the graph. Well, right here it crosses the y-axis at 8, so that tells me that b equals 8. And they said pick 2 points from the graph and plug them into the slope-intercept form. So remember, this is the y incremental over the x incremental, or the change in y over the change in x. So it looks like they picked, if you go over here to 8 and 18, so this point right here is 8, 18. And then the other point they picked was 0, 8. So this point right here is the y-intercept. But remember, that occurs when x equals 0 and y equals 8. So they labeled this as, this would be x sub 1, y sub 1. Be sure to write this down in your textbooks. Okay. X sub 2, y sub 2. And so what they did is wherever there's a y sub 2 in the formula, they plugged in 18. Wherever there was an x sub 2 in the formula, they plugged in 8. Okay. And you got to keep track of that. And then y sub 1 was just 8. So they plugged in an 8 here. And then x sub 1 is 0. So they plugged in a 0 here. What's 18 minus 8? 10. What's 8 minus 0? 8. And then I know that you guys know how to do this, but if I take 10 and I divide it by 8, I get 1.25. So that's where that comes from. Okay. So they got 1.25. All right. So now I know what the slope is, right? And I also know what the y-intercept is. So I could write the equation of the line. Wherever there's an m in the formula, I'm just going to plug in 1.25 because that's what m is. And wherever there's a b in the formula, I'm just going to plug in 8 because that's where the y value of where it crosses the x-axis. Or y-axis, I'm sorry. Does that make sense? Yes.
Do you have like one of those calculations?
I do have some. Can you give me just a second? Let me finish this recording and I'll grab some, okay? It says, let's answer these questions in your textbook. It says, what does the value of the slope represent in this context? So what do you think it represents in this context?
It's 1 second.
Okay, now here's the thing. I'm asking you guys, we're recording the video. Please don't shout out names, okay? It makes my life a little easier. I don't have to filter out and edit the video. So if somebody says something and they're guessing, don't shout out, "You're so stupid, Bob." Okay? Consequently, you guys never say, "Good job, Bob." We'll work on that. So let's talk about all the things we know about slope. So tell me everything you know about slope. Raise your hand. Go. Yes. Rise over run. Yeah, for sure. What else? Yes.
Like a triangle thingy.
Triangle thingy. Delta, that means change, right?
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good.
It's on the ground.
But specifically what they're talking about, so let's build on what you guys are saying. So you're saying that M equals the rise over run, right? Which is true. And then you're saying that that is the change in Y over the change in X. And remember, I'll keep writing this down until you get that. That's the Greek letter delta. It's like capital D in Greek. It's literally what our D comes from. And that always in mathematics represents change. Mr. Adams used a fancy math words. Incremental is usually what it means, but you could call it change. But what is Y? What does Y represent? Huh?
Intercept.
No. Look at the graph. What does Y represent?
Numbers.
Well, yeah, the amount of dollars spent. So I'm going to change that to the cost. What does X represent?
Rentals.
To rentals. And if you use it in the context of the problem, wouldn't that be the cost per DVD?
Oh. Wait. I guess. Sure.
Yeah, reread the problem. So that's an important part too. It says a video club charges one-time membership fee. What do you think that one-time membership fee is? The Y-intercept, $8. So for this video club, I got to pay $8 a month. And then how much do you think I pay per rental? $125.
Oh.
Does that make sense? And X represents what? It says X represents the number of DVD rentals. So if I want to know how much, yeah, and Y is the total cost. So that's what they want us to figure out. So even though you guys kind of know the math part, like how to write the equation, how to look at the graph, we always have to go back to the context from which it comes and think about what does that represent, okay? So, and you guys already answered the second question. It says, describe the meaning of the Y-intercept. What did we say the Y-intercept represented? Yeah, so B always is the initial whatever, okay? And in this particular case, it is the membership fee. So if you do not rent a DVD at all, 0 DVDs, you still have to pay $8.
Why would you even have a membership? You see, there's these things called gyms, which basically most of them do the same thing.
Yeah, well, there's lots of things. You know, your cell phone plan, the cell phone plans, and they still have some of these plans where you pay like a certain dollar amount and then they charge you for data and they charge you. Nowadays, it's almost always unlimited. But back in the day, there's a lot of services where you pay a bare minimum and then they charge you for usage. For example, like the electric company or gas company, they charge you a bare minimum for something and then they charge you how much you use. So, yeah. Sam's Club, Costco. All right. So let's do one on your own. It says, let's read this one and then we'll call it good. It says the cash register subtracts $2.50. You guys pay attention. We're almost done. It subtracts $2.50 from a $25 gift card for every medium coffee. Write the equation to represent the situation. What is the initial cost here? 25. Isn't that B? Okay. What is the per rate charge? Is it positive 250 or negative 250? Negative 250. Very good. So now if I were to write this as y equals mx plus b, you're just plugging them in. So it's y equals what? Negative 250x plus 25. Yeah. Yeah, so the question was, could you write it like this? Y equals 25 minus 250 times x. I think you can, but what you have to remember is the per unit rate, the charge per one, whatever they're doing. In this case, it's a medium coffee. That always has to be the number in front of the x, because the x represents the total number of, so that's the important thing. But conventionally, we would do mx plus b. Now, if you notice on your calculators, when we go to do linear regression, it'll have mx plus b, and then it'll have b plus mx. Well, actually, the calculator says ax. Anyways, are there any questions on this before we move on? Yes. Why is 25 what? Oh, here? Oh, just because she asked, could you write it this way? And yeah, technically, mathematically, there's you can write it that way. But that's what I was just saying is like, technically, you can write it that way. The numbers work out the same. But usually would if you have to choose, and 9 times out of 10 it's gonna look like this. 9 times out of 10. But could you do it the other way? Absolutely. Absolutely you could. Okay, any questions? Any other questions? How do you guys feel about this? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay.